just start. That's it. Just start from somewhere, start with something, and then on the way, figure it out.
So, Ana Dobrevska, welcome to the podcast.
Yay.
So Anna, you've been doing this for a long time. You said even before it became a trend. So we'd like to know more about how your journey started as a digital nomad.
Hi, Ucha. Nice to meet you again. I'm so
You
happy
too.
to be here. So I have been a digital nomad for long before it started. I've been working remotely, I think, for the past 7 or 8 years, and I did not travel around the world when I started. I was starting from my home country, so I was kind of like testing it out, seeing whether it would work outside. Before that, I've been traveling, but mostly as a backpacker or going for a month somewhere here and there. So I wanted to see how I would feel working and traveling, because it is a completely different dynamics. So I kind of started from home, which is Bulgaria. And that was, I think, yeah, 7 or 8 years ago. And I did start traveling around the world, funnily enough, half a year before pandemic hit. So I started traveling, and then I ended up traveling during pandemics as well. And I did notice a lot of difference in terms of what it was before, how it feels now after. But yeah, that's pretty much how it's been going.
Nice. How did you find it, like transitioning from just remote working from your home country and then start moving around?
Yeah, well, so for me also, in terms of starting my journey, everything was way more challenging because I do not come from a Western country. So the whole process of building my own business, having international clients, working with people from different countries and charging a currency that's not my from my home country, because this is not sustainable for travel. So all of these things I needed to figure out and create a stable lifestyle and income so I can support myself. And it was way more different in terms of a process that most people would have as digital nomads, because they would just get a job from their home country and then they just travel the world, especially if it's, from a good with a good currency, from a place where they can afford it. So it was a lot different. And then the transition was not very smooth, because I started traveling basically broke while I was building my business. So it is possible to travel. A lot of people say that you need a lot of money to travel, or that you need XYZ. But the truth is that when there's a will, there's a way. And I did travel broke my first year, and then pandemic hit, and then I was still building my business and still traveling broke, and it was a challenge. But I did want to travel the world and I did want to have my own thing, and I was just like, I just kept on going, and yeah, here I am. So.
I'm glad to hear that. Like, what kind of business do you do now?
So I am an online business manager. I manage projects, systems, and teams. It's kind of like a cross between project and operations management. I do help with the back end of my client's business. And mainly that will be online courses, online products, project management day to day of their small teams, launches, and everything pretty much that needs support on their back end. I'm there to take care of that and kind of be their right-hand person.
Awesome. Is this something that you do as a remote worker also, or?
Yeah. I mean, I do have my private clients. I don't work for a company. This is all a freelance career, basically. But when I started working online in general a few like years ago, my first ever job, online job was actually an online English teacher. So I did change a lot by the course of, trying to find my own thing. And we all have to start from somewhere. So I'm guessing like one of my first suggestions for digital nomads would be just start. That's it. Just start from somewhere, start with something, and then on the way, figure it out. And that's what I did.
Oh, wow. I love that advice. I'm pretty much doing what you're basically just said now, which is to just, started doing the podcast basically, like, okay, admitting that you don't know what you're doing, but then also feeling safe in the knowledge that you'll figure it out along the way. I feel the same about remote working as well. You just have to start somewhere. And yeah, I also am a remote worker and I've also tried a bunch of things. I guess, yeah, by trying a lot of things, you get to know more of what you like and what you don't, what resonates with you and what doesn't. And how long does it take you to finally decide that, okay, this is the kind of business that I want to, do and feel comfortable doing?
I think it develops over time, as in when you start with whatever you start, usually that's not the first, like that's not going to be the end goal, but it gives you some skills and it kind of, like you said, it gives you clarity about how you could continue further. I feel like online work and online businesses in general, they pivot so fast and like we learn so many skills and things change and it's so dynamic all of the time that I really don't think that any freelancer or any online worker would be doing the same thing over the course of a very long period of time. They would always evolve, always move, always offer new services or develop something else. But it does change over time. So for me, like when I started with being an online English teacher, I knew that I had to start from somewhere just to make some money. And then after doing that for about 2 years and a half, I think, I thought, okay, so I don't want to do that anymore. How can I transfer my skills and do something else? And then I invested in some courses, I invested in some online trainings, and I do recommend that. I do recommend a good research on narrowing down some things that you would like to do and investing a little bit of money into some courses where you could learn some skills and make the best out of it in terms of pivoting to your next stage. And that's how I transferred into social media and podcast management. I was doing that for a while, and that gave me other skills, and then that showed me other things, and then there were things that I liked and things that I didn't, and then I was like, oh, but I can transfer these skills and learn that new skill. And kind of like I was like, okay, so what is the next phase that I want to have? And I was like, okay, so I want to be a project manager. How can I learn more skills to do that? And we're so lucky because in the online world that we live now, we don't need to go to university, we don't need to pay expensive yearly courses to learn a skill. We can like literally dive in, and after a few months we can build up a portfolio and just like try and find even experience, even if it's low paid in the beginning, just to see how this goes and then just build up. And things are moving way faster than I would consider maybe for previous generations.
Yes, I absolutely love that. And that's also what I did to begin with. So you just said there's a lot of information available online for free. I think the willingness to learn is what you need. And also, I guess, pushing through the pain because learning new things is not easy. we don't want to feel
Yeah,
stupid, right? We
no.
don't, and then sometimes we ended up not learning anything. And these days, yeah, like you said, the world is changing, and it's changing faster and faster every day. And then I guess to get out of the traditional mindset and to actually just put yourself out there and learn something new. Yeah, I love that idea. And
Yeah, and
yeah.
also don't be afraid to fail and make mistakes and take failure as feedback. I think that's one of my main takeaways from all of this. Because if you don't fail and you don't try again, and if you don't get rejected, and if you don't know how that feels, and then try and learn from it, it will never, you're not going to get to the next step. You really need to get used to failing. As much as that might sound so scary, just get used to it and then just take it as a feedback and then just keep going.
Yes, yeah, totally. Because sometimes maybe we don't see how it's going to help us in the future, but looking backward, it's actually the accumulation of uh skills and knowledge that we have learned from starting from zero, starting for, low paying job or whatsoever. So I love what you said about it has to start somewhere, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And yeah, I guess that is a good advice. And as for building your business, how did you, how did you start doing it? Like, so you started from remote working, and then you found out, okay, I'm gonna do this. And then did you just decide to leave your remote work and jump right into it, or you still keep, your remote work and slowly going into your business? How did you do it?
So, the way that I did it is, I wouldn't say is the smartest way because I literally stopped I stopped my online English teaching. And at that particular moment, it was actually very stressful because it was literally the pandemic had just hit, and then I couldn't take it anymore in terms of teaching English either, and I just did not like the dynamics of this job. And then I was already doing a lot of trainings, and I was building a portfolio, but I didn't have my first client yet. And then I just like I just slept on a couch of a friend, and then I was just my main first goal for doing this, because I kept on applying and I did some courses and trainings, but I was getting rejected, and that's normal. We have to accept that. And I didn't have any experience, right? So my main goal was to get my first client and to basically have the the return of investment from the course that I paid for. So I just kept telling myself, Anna, just like get your first client and just at least pay back the money for that course, because at that point I was not making any money. I was
Yeah.
literally like living with a friend, and I was like applying for all of these like pitching clients basically, and applying for gigs, and then nothing was coming through, and I was just like, okay, I just need to keep going. I need motivation. And I'll be honest with you, my only motivation was I was that broke. I was like, I just want to have my initial investment back, like please, 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 like I just want that, so I know that I didn't like pay for all of these things in vain. And then somehow, after, I don't know, like doing this for quite a while, I think it was a whole summer, like a whole summer of just trying to make this work. Um, I finally managed, and I had my first client, and it was more than my initial investment. And then just things slowly started happening, but it did took a lot of courage to just like, jump into it. And like I said, like it was not the wisest thing to do. I would suggest that you keep your remote job and then slowly transition into it. I feel like that's way more less stressful. um, but in my case, it was a little bit different, and it is still possible. You can still do it. Like, hello, I'm still here. But Yeah, I would not say that this was the wisest way to start.
I'm glad it's working out for you. So now looking
Yeah.
back, what do you think scored you that first client finally? What would your tip be?
Um, my tip would be to always take things personal and give more than expected, and always look at your client the same way that you would want to be treated as a client. So um, just try and be as genuine as you could, because anyone, like, there are so many people out there, and people do hire for skills, but they do also hire for personality.
Mhm.
And why would someone choose you wouldn't necessarily be because you're the best fit in terms of skills, because there would be so many other people out there doing the same thing like you. So what would um, make you exclusive and different from all of these people is how you treat them, how you listen to them, and how much they like you. It's all about why you. Yeah, the skills are very important, but I would say also for a beginner, attitude is even more important. So being that person that they feel that they can trust, and being willing to accommodate their needs. Well, of course, we need to keep our boundaries, and we need to always make sure that we're respected. So that I'm just referring to the fact that really, really, really put yourself out there as someone that cares and someone that is trustworthy. Because if you just count on your skills, that's not good enough, especially nowadays, because there are so many people out there that will do the same thing like you, and maybe even better. It's you and your personality that is going to stand out.
I love that, and I definitely can relate to that, and I can attest to that because my first remote job, well, one of my first remote job was like to become a marketing assistant for a company, email marketing company in Denmark, and I saw it on Facebook, the job advertisement on Facebook, and then they asked me to do this test. Can you do HTML, CSS? So I would say to them, okay, I will do the test. And then I did it. It took me 16 hours. And then when it comes to the second interview, I just tell the whole story, and then they asked me, how did you find the test? And I was like, oh my god, it took me 16 hours to figure it out, but I figured it out. And when I when I got hired, it's just like you said, it's the attitude. Somebody, they need to know that you're somebody that they can rely on and get the job done. And yeah, so totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So what do you recommend people do? Do you recommend people to just do that and leave everything behind and start figuring out, or you have a better tip as someone who's done it and even done it from, not so much money?
Well, I feel like it really depends on um who you are and what your needs are, because once you start traveling, your needs change, or also become you get more clear on what you thought it will look like, what it looks like, what you want it to look like. So I wouldn't necessarily say ditch everything and start traveling. um a lot of nomads, once we start moving around fairly quickly, after 2 or 3 years, you start to get um kind of not tired, but it does put a strain on you, and it becomes exhausting because it becomes very repetitive, this whole thing of there's a lot of logistics involved, and it's not for everybody. I keep on saying it sounds so cool on paper, but it's not something that everyone can do. And also each nomad is very, like, there are people that travel slowly and even, just stay somewhere for like a year. They don't even move, they just work remotely. And then there are others that move every few months, and then the ones that just are starting out, sometimes they're very excited, and then just like they move every month to a new place or every few weeks. And the thing is that the best thing about it is that you can tailor your own lifestyle. So um, once you start traveling and you see what your needs are, you have the flexibility because you work remotely. So you're not tied into a place or a job. So even if you decided that this does not work out for you, or even if you're just doing it to live in another country different than yours, this is still great. Just having the opportunity to be flexible for me is what is the most important, because at this point, having the option to work from home or from a cafe or from a different country makes me happy and gives me freedom. I don't necessarily always need to be on the move or having new experiences all of the time, or just, because the lifestyle can be very, it looks very it, the media represents the lifestyle in a very deceiving way. We're not sipping on a cocktail at the beach and having fun every day. Or
Yes.
like, I do joke sometimes that I am on a workation because I am working and it feels like a vacation sometimes, but that's not it. That's not it. And I mean, I think that the most beneficial part of being a digital nomad is the flexibility. So once you have that, it's your decision what to do with it and how to tailor it to your needs. But that takes, I'm guessing, a while until you try this thing out and see if you like it, or try that other thing out and you're like, no, that's not for me. So yeah, my advice would be try it out and decide for yourself, how do you want to tailor your specific experience.
That's the good advice. Yes, tailor your experience to based on your own needs. And how long did it take you to finally get your business, established to a point where you feel like, okay, I think I'm getting there?
Yeah. Well, like, I feel like, yeah, well, it took me 3 years to kind of
Mm,
get somewhere.
yeah.
And I'm still like, it will always, there's always something, and there's ups and downs. I feel like that's one of the tricky parts of it. And that's why a lot of people do not choose to be freelancers or have their own business, because they want the security. But for me personally, my security is knowing that it's all up to me, and I'm not putting my wage into the hands of an employer. I'm not asking for a leave or for time off. I'm telling my clients when am I going to have time off, and I have that time off. And if I wanted to get paid better, it's again up to me. I just need to up my game and level up my rates and have better offerings. So at the end of the day, we choose whether we want to do the work or we want to do the work for somebody. And both of them have their own benefits and advantages and disadvantages. And yeah, so it took me 3 years to get somewhere. And I'm still learning every single day, and learning from my success and my mistakes, and learning from clients, people, feedback. And it's gonna be probably like that all of the time. But yeah, it's a journey, and I would not have it any other way personally. I would not ever want to go back to working for somebody. I would only want to work with somebody.
So, Anna, you mentioned that you're from Bulgaria, and it's probably not super privileged country, and you said it's a poor country. So how did you find it starting, well, you say poor, and then from a poor country in terms of, let's say, pricing, for instance, right? Because I guess it does affect the way that we price things, especially with the competition.
Yeah, thank you, Jed. That's a very good question. Yeah, so there is a Western privilege, and um, still for digital nomads, mostly you wouldn't find that many digital nomads from developing countries or poorer countries, because as I mentioned earlier, most of the people that usually start traveling, and there's nothing wrong with that. If I were from Germany or UK and I could work remotely and make euros, I would do that too. But for the rest of us that had to work their way through, it's a whole other story, and it's way more work to do. And I did find it quite challenging, I'm not gonna lie. So when I was building my freelancing career, it was also, I had to deal with a lot of limiting beliefs and blocks, and work through that on my own side, because it was challenging to want to charge dollars and to charge the same as your peers. And people would hear that you come from a country that's poor and think that they should pay you less. And people still do that. And there are people that work in their home country and never travel, and they are okay with charging that. And that's also fine. But for me, as someone that wanted to live a completely different lifestyle and to sustain that standard, I wanted to charge dollars or euros. I didn't want to, I would not be able to travel if I was charging my home currency or charging lower. And I had to work through that. And I have been having a lot of rejections. I had to build up a network and a reputation. And I basically at some point had to be better than others, not even as good as others. I had to be better than them so I can attain to that same standard. And yeah, it's been a challenging journey, but I feel like, and I am calling out all of the business owners out there to give a chance to non-natives and to open their horizons and to just create equal opportunities for work. Because if we want, as remote workers and digital nomads, to have this like option to travel and to help each other out in this community, we should widen our horizons and just work with each other internationally and not just stick to our own circle. And I'm so grateful to the people that I'm working with, that they were okay with that and they never had any issue around it, or they didn't even care where I come from. So where I come from doesn't define me. It doesn't define my skills. It doesn't define who I am. It's just a piece of paper on a passport, and I'm so much more than that. And people should start having that in mind and just being way more mindful about it.
What would be your tip, for people who are struggling with this mindset wise, in terms of charging?
Well, it's a lot of self-work actually, and it boils down to, I'm a very spiritual person and I'm into self-help and self-growth and self-love. So I did have to go through a lot of shadow work and a lot of inner child work, and work a lot of myself through neuroscience, meditation, hypnosis, and bust out limiting beliefs about all of those childhood traumas that come from traditions and my country and where I was born and what I was set to in terms of my beliefs and what my worth and value should be. And it's, at some point, also, it's very important, your circle of people, because when you surround yourself with high value people, they show you that you are high value. So if you don't feel that you're there yet, push yourself and find the people that do and be around them and copy what they do. Ask them questions. Don't be afraid and scared to say that you're not there yet. Also, some people would not be okay with it, but others will help you out. And you need them both for this process. So my advice would be, just look for the people that you want to be push yourself and go to the places where you might find these people, and also find the content, the books, the podcasts, the workshops, everything that you think might help you with your own personal development, because they are intertwined, and it is very important to know your value and to be able to communicate that. Because once we get into this whole process, even if we think that we are there yet, we have to start testing ourselves out, and we might find that we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But unless you do the test, you're not gonna know. So yeah, that would be my advice. Just find your support circle and find any content that you think might be great for you to start your journey on to self-growth and self-love.
Yes, I absolutely love the idea of surrounding yourself in a circle of people that are already doing what you want to be doing. The thing is, with mindset, I think, especially with how social condition, like how the society condition you to be based on your background, sometimes it is a privilege to even know what it is you want. Some people don't even know that they can choose the life that they want to live, and just believe that, okay, so this is how I should live my life, and not
That
even
is so true.
right, not even realize that you can actually decide what you want. Well, for sure, in order to get to where you want to be, you have to first know what it is you want, and then later on figure out how to get there. So
yeah, and even if you think that you know what you want, then sometimes you get it and you realize that that was not what you wanted, then you move on further. But yeah, it's trial and error, of course, and making the first step is gonna give you a little bit more clarity.
yes, yeah, I think that's something. It's like the next step is after you reach what it is you think you want, and then realizing, oh my god, so it is not actually what I want. And then letting that go and then starting over again, it's a whole different challenge, right? So so when you first started, how do you normally find this circle of people, from online or in person?
Yeah, I think personal connections work better for sure. Online ones, of course. The way that I did it, I kind of started joining all of these Nomad communities and festivals that started emerging right around a little bit after COVID. And there were so many events, and usually when I go somewhere, I look for those meetups. Usually they're weekly or communities. So once you make a few friends and then you go to another place and they know some other friends, and it just at some point becomes that everybody that knows somebody knows somebody. So over time, you build a circle, and that also includes another online circle that, depending on the communities or skills that you want to develop, you can have. And all of these people have always recommendations, they do things. So you can kind of start taking notes and decide for yourself, oh, that's something I'm interested in. Can you tell me more about this thing that you're part of? Or, oh, we do this thing here, because there's so much going on, and there are so many communities. And also that's also something that you should decide for yourself, where you stand and where do you want to join. But for me, I think it was a mixture of mostly one-on-one and personal meetings, but then also actually after that, after I met some people, I also entered a few online communities. So I first started offline and then after that I had some other communities online. So at this point, it's a mixture.
Nice. And travel-wise, how often do you, like how frequent do you move around? Like, do you stay in a place
So,
long?
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
mhm. Well, at the moment, I spend between 3 to 4 months in a place. Um, that's kind of like my um, usual. I wouldn't say that I would spend just a month somewhere unless I'm having a vacation in a way and I'm working in between and I just want to visit a place. But usually when I go to a place where I call home, I would definitely stay for at least 2 to 3 months. If I really like it, a little bit longer. I do plan and want to be having a base in the future. I think 2023 for me is the year that I will try to figure that out. And ideally, I would like to half a year have a base and be somewhere, and then travel for the other half and be in a few places around the world. But I would want to have a place that I call home and be there for half of the year. Those are my needs at the moment after traveling for a while.
Awesome. And how has travel changed you as a person?
Oh, that is my favorite question. Travel has made me a better person, 1000%. I have learned so much about other cultures, other people. I have learned about patience, about courage, about being very creative and coming up with solutions last minute when everything fails.
Mhm.
So a lot of resilience as well. Yeah, I think it's literally the school of life. It's just something happens and it doesn't ask if you're okay with it today or if you're ready for it, because you're pretty much all of the time out of your comfort zone, and you basically make decisions that you wouldn't make in day-to-day life. So it's way more dynamic. That's why I think it's something that um, is not for everybody, but
Yes.
definitely if once you get used to it, it kind of like everything else becomes very boring. So, so it's the other way around as well. But yeah, I think my main takeaway from travel, my main lesson that I've learned for traveling is that being kind um, gives back. And
Hmm.
you should always be kind to people, no matter their situation or what happened. And even if you had a bad day, also be mindful. Because being kind has given me so much value, and I've been lucky, quote unquote, because of my kindness to people so many times, and being saved from situations or challenges or whatever happened so many times, um, that I stopped counting. So yeah, just be kind when you travel and listen to people's stories. You can learn a lot from any person around the world.
Nice. Be kind, give back.
Yeah.
I love that. And how do you think we should give back as a digital nomad? Like,
Yeah, that is actually so important, because the perception of a digital nomad usually is that we take, but how do we give back? And now the question is, as we have so many different skills and we learn so much as we travel, I feel like the best way of giving back is offer that experience to others, and also be generous, because
Mm,
if I'm going to a country where I see people are hardworking and I know that I can afford more than them, why not just buy from the locals or give the locals a marketing tip about how they can sell their product better, and just engage with people, tell them about your knowledge. I've been surprised how many times I would have a conversation with someone and then I would see something that might be able to help them to have a better business or to reach out better, or even my connections from people I know might help them because I might not be able to help them, but
mm.
maybe I know someone that they can connect with so they can grow their business. So giving back can be done in so many ways. Of course, also just seeing the homeless person on the street and just, getting them some food, or just attending to their needs as well. But giving back is definitely something that nomads should consider more and find ways to integrate and not just be takers, but also be givers.
Yes, I love the idea about giving back, and that it's not only about materialistic thing. You can also teach people skills. So it's not only always about money, but can also be,
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
And
sharing
or also
experience and skills.
Yeah, and or also tell them where you learned your skills, because
Right.
as nomads, we're so resourceful and we know so many things about the online world that we don't realize necessarily that other people do. And then they think that this is impossible, but actually it's right there. So
Yes,
just sharing your knowledge about all of the portals that you are using at the moment can change someone's life. And I've
totally.
I've experienced that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, totally. And then for someone starting, somebody, let's say someone who wants to travel, already have their remote job, where would you recommend them to go first, the safety wise?
Safety wise. Um, well, that also depends, I'm guessing, on where they come from.
Yes.
But in terms of, I would always say that Europe is the safest place to be. And like, I've traveled quite a while at this point, and whenever I just want to relax and have no issues, I just go back to Europe. Now, Europe as a destination for a starting nomad can be a bit expensive, so
Yeah.
I will narrow it down to Eastern Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest actually even my own country, where there's a great, amazing digital nomad community in the town of Bansko. There are a lot of other emerging places at the moment around Eastern Europe, which include Croatia, Albania. Turkey is also an emerging destination. There's quite a few. So Eastern Europe is a very safe and affordable place to start. Turkey as well as not part of Europe. And then other places that might be also interesting, Georgia, for example. And then, of course, if they want to go outside of Europe, Asia is also a good place to start, and it's pretty safe. Yeah, those are kind of like, I'm guessing, the places for beginners that I would recommend um, to start with.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. We have gotten so many tips already for, people looking into becoming a digital nomad. So last question. What is the definition of home to you?
Oh wow. I'm getting goosebumps from this one. Okay, so the definition of home at this point is that feeling when I'm somewhere where I feel that my needs are met. And by that, I mean that it is a place where I feel welcomed and safe, a place where there's a lot of nature. Um, doesn't matter if it's mountains or beach. There needs to be this feeling that I'm surrounded in a way by nature, or at least have an access to it. and an amazing community of people that supports me, or at least a few friends that are around. So these few things in motion create this feeling for me where if I'm somewhere, I say, oh my gosh, this is my new home. I feel like home here.
Nice. So basically, home is a feeling. It doesn't necessarily have to be tied to just one place, but wherever you feel safe.
Yes, at this point, I think that I have a few places around the world where I have felt like home. And I know that whenever I'm back there, I have a few friends, usually local friends, that I can go back to. I have this feeling when I'm there that I feel very nurtured, supported, safe, happy. And it's usually a nice, sunny, or a beautiful place where I have all the nature and I can enjoy that too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. We have gotten so many tips already for, people looking into becoming a digital nomad. So where can people find you if they want to connect with you online?
Thank you, Chai. It's been a really nice chat, and I really enjoyed sharing with you my journey as well.
Thank you.
People can find me on Instagram. My handle there is hipsterhemian. That's for hipster and bohemian all in one, because
Unique.
I feel like I'm a hipster and a bohemian. So at hipsterhemian, and they can find me on my website where I share all about my work, which is very simple. It's my name. It's www.anadobrovska.com. So yeah, I would love to connect with fellow nomads as well. And I hope that maybe I will see you as well in Bali at some point.
Yes, definitely. Let me know when you're coming. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank
Nice
you.
talking to you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.